International Standard ISO IEC 20000-1 2018 Information Technology Service Management. Clause 5.2.2 Communicating the Service Management Policy. Hi friends, I welcome you all here at TNV Academy. In this session, we are about to discuss Clause 5.2.2 Communicating the Service Management Policy of International Standard ISO IEC 20000-1 2018 Information Technology Service Management. In this session, we shall cover all the requirements of Clause 5.2.2 Communicating the Service Management Policy in detail, along with some examples for your convenience. As the requirement of the Clause 5.2.2 depend upon the requirement of Clause 1, Scope, and Clause 5.1, Clause 5.2.1 of Standard. I would like to recommend you referring Clause 1, Scope, Clause 5.1, Leadership and Commitment, Clause 5.2.1, Establishing the Service Management Policy, also for better understanding of Clause 5.2.2. Let's discuss now about the outcome of this session. After completing this session, you will be enabled to understand and verify the implementation of the requirement of Clause 5.2.2 of the ISO 20000-1 2018. You will also learn that how organization objectives can be achieved through establishing and communicating the service management policy. Now, let's discuss Clause 5.2.2. The requirements of the Clause 5.2.2 Communicating the Service Management Policy of the Standard are: the service management policy shall A. Be available as documented information, B. Be communicated within the organization, C. Be available to interested parties as appropriate. Let me tell you about the document requirements for this Clause 5.2.2 now. If we talk about mandatory documents, service management policy should be documented and maintained to meet this requirement. The records of establishing the policy and internal or external training program to make organization aware with policy can be retained for future while improving the policy document. Now, let me explain Clause 5.2.2 Communicating the Service Management Policy. The service management policy should cover the purpose and context of the business and provide a framework for setting up service management's objective. The service management policy should state your commitment to satisfy appropriate requirements and constantly improve the effectiveness of your service management system. The organization's commitment towards quality can be achieved when the service management policy is documented, communicated, and understood within the organization. It can be made available on your website, your employee handbook, quality manual, or displayed at various locations in the office, like notice board or inside the conference hall, so that all employees read and absorb its value in daily working. Service management policy can also be made available when new employees report the organization at the time of joining and made a part of onboarding process. It is also noteworthy to make the service management policy available to external concerned parties like customers, suppliers, contractors, government authority, etc. This can be done through your website and or promotional material like digital kiosk, pamphlets, brochure flyers, banners, etc. Service management policy can also be communicated through emails, electronic messages whenever requested or desired. It is recommended under Clause 5.2.2 of the Standard that service management policy shall be reviewed periodically by top management based on changes in the context of the organization. This can be done during management reviews as well. As a conclusion, we can say that the guidelines under Clause 5.2.2 define that top management shall establish a service management policy that is available as documented information and communicated within the organization. The service management policy should be available to interested parties as appropriate. Now, coming to an important aspect of the standard, practice writing non-conformity. First of all, let me explain in very brief what exactly is non-conformity. Non-conformity refers that the organization is not fulfilling of the requirements of one or more provisions of the clause of the ISO 20000-1 2018. Non-conformances are most commonly uncovered during verification, inspection, or testing activities. In your test finding reveal misalignment in your requirements, that's a non-conformance. Non-conformity may be of two types: minor non-conformity and major non-conformity. A minor non-conformity is the failure to conform to a requirement that, in the auditor's opinion, and there is no failure of the service management system. It may be a single observed lapse or isolated incident where there is a minimal risk of non-conforming product being released to the customer. A major non-conformity would be the total breakdown of management system of one of its processes, or the failure to address a key ISO 20000-1 2018 requirement. Let me give you an example how non-conformity here under clause 5.2.2. ABC Tech is an organization working in IT and communication sector and providing e-commerce and mobile app solution to customers. Keeping in considering a sensitive data hack in some government websites, the top management instantly decided not to allow putting source code of any project work on web to avoid data breach. They introduced a policy that programmers will take a backup on daily basis on external data storage device rather than storing codes on online vaults. The policy was spontaneously made available to display boards, digital kiosks inside office lobby, and also documented as internal records. The same announcement was also done through email and also amongst employees during the meetings. During the audit, auditors found and mentioned the following findings in audit report. 1. Two employees who had been working from home were not made aware with this new policy. Both of them were still uploading the codes online. According to auditor, it comes under major non-conformance. Root cause analysis. It was found by the management that email communication was done to convey about this policy to employees working from home. Eventually, the email was received in their spam folder and was not seen by them. Corrective action. Top management arranged to send the email again to those employees, and they were also informed about this policy through telephonic communication. Corrective action plan. It was decided and added to the policy by top management that important and sensitive communications would be done through telephonic calls, also along with written memos, emails or messages, etc. to avoid any kind of communication gap in future. Now, let me explain how to write an effective non-conformance report. To achieve the main goal of an effective non-conformance report, you should follow some guidelines, which I am describing in detail now. First, you should seek and record evidence that top management is taking a hands-on approach to the management of the SMS. Be prepared to constructively challenge top management's commitment to service management principles and show their commitment in ISO. Auditing this tier of management is likely to be a new experience for many people. So it is important that you have a good understanding of management activities in order to effectively engage with them. 3. If it is evident that top management is not involved with the service management system and ISO standards, a major non-conformance is likely. It is a recommendation that auditors should look for evidence of management commitment. During certification audits, auditors should look for evidence that top management has a hands-on approach to the management of their SMS during interviews and auditing other requirements. Example: context of the organization policies and objectives, management review minutes, resources, etc. You can find the evidence of top management involved in business strategy plans and meetings, environmental goals and communications, information provided on the organization's website, annual reports, management meeting minutes, other documented information. Management involvement must now be demonstrated and cannot be simply confined to annual management reviews. During internal audits, auditors should ensure that they are well prepared to infuse the top management in respect of their commitment to the SMS. A good understanding of management-related processes and language used by top management can be helpful to engage with management on a range of concerns. I hope these guidelines will help you in writing an effective non-conformity report in future. Some of the common mistakes made by auditors while auditing are putting questions which are irrelevant for the organization. Sometimes auditors start thinking for the options while auditors need to understand the client process and to decide if the client can achieve the result of the management standard system through their own process. Auditors start consulting the clients which is out of the reach of the auditing. Auditors start expecting those documents and records in clause wherein this may not be mandatory. Auditors impose their opinions without facts. Auditors report finding but don't provide evidence. Auditors tick off checklist without considering the bigger picture. Auditors believe the paperwork and ignore the facts. Auditors feel obliged to find error. Auditors allow cost cutting to starve the audit. It is highly recommended that being an auditor, you should avoid these common mistakes while doing ISO audits to make it successfully implemented. Dear friends, we have now come to the conclusion of this training session. See you soon with an exciting new topic. Till then, goodbye.